So we've talked about how you choose someone to mentor. That's talked about from time to time, and even the mentoring process, different opinions are out there. One thing I don't know that I've ever heard anybody talk about is, Brad, how do you end a mentoring relationship well? I'm not talking about ending the relationship with the person. Mm-hmm. I'm saying, okay, I've taken this person under my wing. We've been together. We've done life together. I've taken them to events, or we've gone on trips together. How does that end? What does that look like? How have you seen it done well?
Well, sometimes there's a natural ending. I don't think it's done well most of the time, because usually it's done because it just naturally sort of quits, and that can be either awkward or it can be a little bit of a surprise. Usually to the person being mentored, they're like, "Wait, what happened?" And I thought we were hanging out more. And I thought we were spending time together.
I was going to Thanksgiving.
Yeah. So typically it ends naturally, but it's never talked about. So I think one of the things you have to do is make sure you're very clear and you articulate, hey, we're going to end. We're not ending our friendship, but we are going to end this season of mentoring. Mm-hmm. I just want you to be aware of that. Partly, and then explain why. That may be just because it's time for them to move on, or they're moving into a new role, or the season has naturally progressed to the point where that's not needed anymore. So I think being clear on the communication side is really important. And then the second piece of that would be make sure that you leave it where it's healthy. Mm-hmm. Because a lot of times without that level of communication, even if it was a home run type of relationship, if you don't talk about it, or at least put a bow on it, or have some sort of conclusion, then it leaves everybody wondering. And then once you start wondering, then you assume the worst. And then it becomes, well, what did I do? What did I, what happened? Yeah. Was it something I did?
Why doesn't he like me anymore?
Exactly.
Why does he want to hang out?
It's important, I think, for the future of, especially if that person's going to still be in the organization. You don't want it to be awkward. You don't want it to, all of a sudden, there's this tension to be there. So that's why it's also really important to, communicate.
Well, and I also would think it would be important simply because for the other people in the organization, there is going to be, everybody wants to be that person.
Right.
And for them to see, it's not just, they don't just have their little club.
Yeah.
It changes, and this is intentional, and this is important. I think it's, first of all, it's healthy to model that, and second, it's just, I think that reduces the jealousy factor.
Yeah, I would, if I'm the leader, I'm trying to set up a system in some way that says, okay, for the next year or the next 6 months, this is going to be the mentoring relationships that are in place, and that way there is a sense of the finish line. And that way the other people in the organization go, oh, okay, well, that'll churn out and that'll transition and it'll turn over at the end of the year, and then another person or more people will kind of step into that. So I think it's, again, for the leader, they have to set expectations on the front end of this is the time and this is the duration of what this mentoring relationship will be. And there's some leaders who they naturally are going to be inclined to bring along certain people with them, and they'll always sort of be their travel friend, or the person that always sort of gets to go on the journey. And if that's the case, many times that does create jealousy, creates strife. And so if that's happening, I would say again to the leader, listen, you need to communicate that to the rest of the organization. Hey, Bob over here, Bob is going to go with me a lot of times. Everybody needs to understand that Bob is not my best friend, but Bob is going to be part of what I do. When I go somewhere, probably Bob's going to go with me. When I have a meeting, Bob's going to be there. And you got to make sure you create clarity as much as possible so that people don't start wondering, well, why is Bob getting to do that and I'm not? When it feels like it's outside of a normal 6-month or year-long mentoring framework. And that happens a lot. It happens way more than we will ever even want to talk about. Because everybody has their favorite. Every leader has a person or people who are part of the organization that they go, that looks like me when I was that age, or that looks like me when I was at that stage. And I'm naturally gravitated to that person. And I want to help them grow and develop and mature, and I want to pull them along with me. And leaders shouldn't be scared of that. But the more you can communicate that that's happening, the better off you'll get rid of and start to extinguish some of the jealousy flames that tend to pop up, especially in the church.